It is Wednesday, my dudes. And you know what? In fact, it is Wednesday. You know, someone mentioned on a video previously that it was like they'd found out that Santa Claus wasn't real. Sorry, by the way, spoiler alert if you weren't aware of that. I may have just ruined everything for you, but someone mentioned on the last video, or a couple of videos ago now at this point, that, you know, I say it is Wednesday, my dudes, but as you guys know, you watch this on a Wednesday, but I record this beforehand, which is never on a Wednesday. Usually I record the commentary the night before because I'm very organized like that. But then someone pointed out that it doesn't feel right that you're saying it is Wednesday, my dudes, and then, you know, it's not actually Wednesday for you. So for this probably one-time special only, because I didn't really have anything else on tonight, we're recording the commentary on a Wednesday, so you can be sure that this is legitimate and well worth your Patreon donation, $50. That was a joke, by the way. And I've also been listening to some feedback, actually. I uploaded a video today, because obviously this being the third day of the week, I uploaded a Planet Coaster video today. And, you know, they always get positive reception, which is always nice. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying this series. And I'm taking heed of a couple of things that people have mentioned, be it criticisms or just general ideas. One of the things that people wanted was they wanted longer videos. So that video was 10 minutes. Here we are with a video that's 11 minutes. So we're making baby steps. Now, I did want to make a video that was longer, but the thing is, immediately after I did the things in this video, which I probably should introduce actually before we go any further. In this video, as you can see, we did some terraforming and just general shrubbery around the entrance and sort of finishing off that bit we did last time. And then it's going to be kind of building this claw ride and the various theming around it. It's going to be fairly generic theming, much like the Wendigo coaster in the background that we did a couple of episodes ago that actually did surprisingly well. It got a pretty good reception as far as my Planet Coaster videos go in terms of views. So I'm glad you guys liked that. But yes, anyway, as I said, I tried to think of a good way of making this video longer without physically slowing down the footage. But the thing is, in the next episode, we're building a big roller coaster. And if I combined that video with this one, it would be too long. It would be like half an hour. And I think that is too long, really, for a Planet Coaster video. I have done ones that long before, but that's like focusing on one project. I like the videos to be kind of focusing on one thing or two things. I don't like them jumping all over the place too much. So that's kind of why this video is going to be about at the 10-minute mark again, but I will have a conscious thought in the back of my mind to try and make them closer to 20 minutes or at least 15 minutes as an acceptable compromise going forward. There will be times when it's just not possible to make a 20-minute video without it feeling a bit too just disjointed. Like I say, I do like videos to have some sort of central core theme to them. Be it this episode, it's going to be mainly focused on, you know, building this claw ride here. Last week's was building the entrance plaza. The week before was the train station. So on, just like a very specific thing you can focus on for the content of each episode. So, you know, some things I can combine into two. Like perhaps this one could have easily been merged with last week's episode. At the time, I wasn't aware of just how much you guys liked the longer ones. I just have it in my mind that I don't know, people think these might drag on. No one's ever said that. I don't know, I feel like I have that in the back of my mind. So I'm glad you guys don't feel that way, or at least the majority of you don't feel that way. There will be inevitably people that prefer 10-minute formats, but I'm going with what the majority of comments seem to say. So we're going to be striving for 10 minutes. So as I'm sure you're aware, I've mentioned it quite a few times, I do have all of this footage pretty much all recorded already. Like a lot of the footage for future episodes is already filmed. So, you know, again, it's going to be hard to come up with longer episode ideas. So going forward, once I start filming new footage, I'll have it in the back of my mind. You know, I'll try and build things in a way and in a certain order that they could be amalgamated into 20-minute long episodes. Don't really know how I'd do that, but like I wouldn't just say build a tiny little shop and then spend hours building a big roller coaster and then like a couple of minutes doing something else. I'll try and do it in nice big blocks. I'll have to try and work out how many hours go into a single Planet Coaster video. It's probably like 2 or 3, I'd say. I don't know. So we are, let's just talk about what's going on in the video now. I've kind of made that very long, winding, meandering point about nothing in particular. This is what we're doing here, just very generic scenery. I thought it would be nice to have a queue canopy, although looking at this footage now, it does look a little bit on the tall side. I will reduce the height of it. Not only kind of make it more in line with, you know, how tall a human is, but also not to overshadow. Obviously, it's not going to overshadow the size of the ride itself, but I don't want it to be I want it to be as subtle as possible, but at the same time functional and fairly nice looking. So we kind of got the modern aesthetic of the actual entrance building and the plaza that we did last week. So it's the same color scheme for the roof, mixed with wooden architecture, and we have those sort of white or some sort of off-white stone. It's the same stone again used in the entrance building, although obviously a more white colour rather than the yellowed brickwork of the entrance building itself. And there we go, yeah, so you can see we're just removing some of those supports so we can just lower the entire structure. And then actually what I did, and you may have seen me do this on other videos as well in Planet Coaster, is that I placed a animatronic prop character just to represent the scale of humans, so I can make sure it's the right height, it's not too low or too high, etc, etc. I did that a lot for the blue tower, especially when I was designing the elevator to get the carriage at appropriate size. I built it around a animatronic person, and then that was to represent how big the elevator needed to be. So looked a bit weird having just bare brickwork with just a completely smooth surface on the top, so I thought I'd add this sort of finishing touch of this sort of sunken rail. It's sunken physically in the game, that's how I made it, but in real life obviously it's just a very low down rail, and I think it really helped bring the whole thing together. One thing actually you may notice as well on those on the underbelly of the canopy, we have those lights as well. We're going to be doing a little bit of lighting at the end of this video as well, just to make the park all lit up at night. The only thing I didn't do was lighting up the tower, because I want to make sure that's done right, because it will take ages to do it properly, and I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. So I may have a look at other creators, probably Ruble Trillions' Eiffel Tower is the obvious comparison to it, see the best way of lighting up there. Or I may do something like the Blackpool Tower. If you ever see the Blackpool Tower at night, last time I checked, this could be very outdated now, it lit up so it said Pepsi all the way up the side of the tower in bright illuminated illuminations, lights, LEDs. So maybe something like that. Obviously it wouldn't say Pepsi, it would definitely say Coca-Cola. I don't play no games. No, who am I kidding? Pepsi Max is much better than Coca-Cola. In fact, I have a Pepsi bottle on my desk right now, and this is me tapping it to show it's glass, because I live in a third world country apparently. I do like glass bottles. It's a shame you don't really get them much in the UK and the US and other developed countries, because they are so much more environmentally friendly. Single-use plastic is something we need to be thinking about, guys. And glass, it biodegrades. If someone chucked it in the sea, it would decompose, I guess, maybe. Probably it might not, but it's certainly better for the environment than plastic, which I read somewhere that all plastic that's ever been built still exists. I have no idea if this is true. I heard it on the radio, I think, ages ago. But it is a scary thought, isn't it? That, plastic just doesn't decompose. You can make the argument you can recycle it, but then you can recycle glass. And, glass is just better, really. I mean, it's more fragile and can shatter, and it can, slice you open and all that if you mishandle it. But just drinking out of a glass bottle, it's better. I think we can all agree on that. So just sort of sweeping around here, generally taking in the scope of what we've done so far, see if I feel like there's anything that needs doing. I tried out the ride as well, because I've never actually seen this kind of ride in real life. I've only ever seen this ride. Obviously, I'm not disputing the fact that it does. It almost certainly does exist in real life, because the Planet Coaster devs base everything on real life things. Unless this is just a prototype by a company and it's never been produced just yet, but I doubt that very much. I would Google it, but I'm too lazy for that. So just doing some extra sort of rockery, rocks around the base of the ride, just to make it a bit cleaner, because we've got that fence there, but it looks a bit naff on its own, so I kind of covered it up in shrubbery, and then we can add some rocks as well, and we'll just sink this little sign into it as well. So I went with the name Calamity as the name of the ride, as you may be able to tell from the very subtle sign that I'm currently building right now. Really, I like the way this colour scheme came together, actually. I think generally this ride, it just came together in a nice way, and it's always satisfying when that happens. So this is nothing amazing. I know a lot of YouTubers and Planet Coaster players in general like building these custom signs out of the geometric shapes and making actual custom lettering, much like coasters in real life. That's a lot of effort though. I think we can all agree on that. So that's pretty much Calamity all wrapped up. We can do like some extra bits now, just place some bins along the path. This part of the video, I took this footage and was planning on sticking it on the end of last week's video, because it's kind of a follow-on to last week's in terms of making the entrance facade, but obviously that giant flat ride is now there, so it would have been somewhat an elephant in the room if I'd left it there. So obviously in hindsight, probably would have been good to just combine this week's video and last week's video, but you live and learn, don't you? So I didn't bother going to designing my own lampposts or anything, because I quite like the way the in-game lampposts look. I think they look fine. Certain areas, if I wanted to do a themed area, like I would like to do a medieval village area. That's something I'd like to do. And I'll probably end up making my own lampposts for that. Obviously, lampposts wouldn't be very realistic, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but in medieval times, there was no such thing as what are they called? Street lamps. I mean, I guess you could say they were like fires like fire lamps. Is there a name for that? Like a street lamp, but it's a fire? A street lamp, but it's a fire. I bet that's not the dictionary definition if one of those things ever exists. And then we can just light up the front building here with some spotlights. We do the back part here where guests emerge into the park, and then we can light up that Planet Coaster sign at the front as well. There's the interior as well, in case you missed it last episode. Nothing special. I will have to get round to doing that at some point. And then I'm adding this spotlight here at the top of the blue tower. It's either the Blackpool Tower or the Eiffel Tower, although probably both, has a big spotlight at the top that just sort of sweeps around the sky. So I thought, this thing looks reminiscent of those two structures. Let's do it here as well. As we've done all the bins and the lights. The only other path extra that needs catering to, or, not catering to, but needs building, are benches. And as you can see, there they are there. Never have too many benches. And with that, that's the end of the video. Here's a little stationary camera from the ground. You can see what this thing looks like at night. And what a magnificent ride that looks. If I do say so myself. On screen is a link to the playlist on the top right. And be sure to check out my Twitter and Patreon, links to which are in the description. Always posting the KSP memes and other tweets in general. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week.